Sorry, I gotta have my coffee this morning, guys. Did not get to sleep until like 2:30 in the morning. My dog was whining. Cats were chasing each other. And when my one cat runs, she runs with her claws out, so it sounds like a tiger is about to attack you. And you're laying down in the complete darkness, half asleep, and all of a sudden it sounds like the carpet's being ripped apart by a tiger. Um, and then just me being itchy and irritated, I couldn't fall asleep. So coffee is doing good today. Hope you guys had a really great Halloween. It is now, um, now when we go out, all we're going to see is Christmas. Not like we didn't see it before, but because you know how it is. The first day of October, they want to put Christmas trees up. Um, but it was pretty nuts around here last night. They trick-or-treat wise, there were a ton of kids out. I tell you, we couldn't. We were coming back from the store, and we didn't really see a whole lot of kids for a while, and then we turned down the street above our block, and it took us 5 minutes to get down the block. There were just kids everywhere. I actually had to get out of the car and because the way we do is we pull in and then we back up into our spot, and there were just so many kids. They kept running behind the car, to get to the next. Actually, to our neighbor was giving out candy, and to get to him, they were running. One poor little girl, I got out of the car to tell her to stop, and she ran behind the car, and she fell in the grass. And I was going to help her up, and she got up real quick and ran, got her candy, but she dropped some candy, so picked it up and gave it to her dad. She totally just busted face right in front of me. Um, but yeah, so I guess I hope all you guys out there, whatever you did, trick or treat. If you have kids, then taking them trick or treating. If not, if you just sat in and watched the movies, hope you had a good time. Um, but I'm back with another review, a fantastic documentary, More Brains: A Return to the Living Dead, the definitive Return of the Living Dead documentary. Yes, I agree, but that's the slipcover on the outside, and then the cover is a little bit different. Very cool. This is from the guys that did Never Sleep Again, the famed Nightmare on Elm Street documentary, and it is as definitive as you will get about Return of the Living Dead. Everybody is here that is alive. Tom Matthews, Don Calfa, Clu Gulager, James Karen, Brian Peck, Linnea Quigley, everybody that's alive. Of course, the guy that played Suicide, I can't remember if his name's Mark Venturini or John Venturini. He passed away shortly after the filming shooting wrapped. And then Dan O'Bannon, of course, passed away in 2009. So they're not here. But this thing really is as comprehensive as you're going to get. It goes from its beginnings, where John Russo basically wanted to do a sequel to Night of the Living Dead. He asked George Romero's permission to do it under the title Return of the Living Dead, and George said that's fine. John wrote a treatment. The producers didn't really, I guess, I don't know if they didn't like it or if they just wanted to go a different direction or what, but thankfully it got in the hands of Dan O'Bannon. He wrote and directed this classic. It's actually a classic in three, these aren't genres, but three aspects: classic punk rock film, classic zombie film, and classic 80s horror film. All three categories. Not all three I made up, but anyway. Goes from that to, casting, to shooting to problems on the set to problems in between actors, directors, spats, all that good stuff. You get all the gossipy dirt on what went down, who was cool, who was a ass, all that stuff. From successful makeup effects to not so successful makeup effects. Wait till you guys see. There were two makeup effects artists. One started out and ended up being canned because wait till you guys see. If you guys have the book, there was a book that just came out chronicling, I think, Return 1 through Necropolis and Rave to the Grave, which thankfully are not covered in this because those are pieces of shit. Wait till you guys see his first version of the headless yellow corpse. Wow, how this poor man ever thought that his creation was going to get on screen. I don't know what kind of drugs that guy was taking that day, and this is the same guy that successfully created the Tar Zombie, Tar Man. Shortly after that, he was let go. So yeah, get all that through post-production, everything's here. And it is done very, very well. As I've said before with documentaries, I think they need to be edited just right. And I think that you need to have a fast pace. It doesn't have to, I'm not talking about lengthwise. It can be a long documentary as long as the story that they're trying to tell moves along at a good pace, and this does. There's not really a dull moment. You're never finding yourself being totally bored out of your mind. And I really love the graphics they use with this. They use a lot of comic book style graphics. The sets that they put everybody on I thought were fantastic. Brian Peck, who played Skaz, and who was also involved in, I know 2 and 3, I don't know about Necropolis or Rave to the Grave, but he was involved in some aspect in the sequels. He narrates. He does a very good job. Just all around, really, really great documentary, and very, very entertaining. And thankfully in this, I think my only problem with Never Sleep Again was its length. It was just really long. It was good, and I watched the whole thing in one sitting, but I don't know how many times I could sit down and watch that whole thing again. It's very long. So in this one, it seems that for whatever reason, probably one, that probably was the main criticism that they got, and 2, Return of the Living Dead 2 and Return of the Living Dead 3 are probably nowhere near successful any of the Nightmare on Elm Street sequels. So they decided to put them, this sort of look backs at those, as special features. That way, if you want to watch them, you can. If you don't have to. They're not putting it in the movies. They're not forcing you to watch it, which is good. It keeps the length of this documentary at about 2 hours, which is totally fine. So special features wise, you get They Won't Stay Dead, a look at Return of the Living Dead 2, which in that one they got the guy that played the little boy. He's not a little boy anymore, and the girl that played Tom Matthews' girlfriend. They come back to talk about it. And then Love Beyond the Grave, a look at Return of the Living Dead 3. I'm pretty sure the only one they got back was the guy that played Mindy Clark's boyfriend. Mindy Clark, of course, is not going to come back and talk about Return of the Living Dead 3. Why would she? She was on the OC. So she's not here for that. But whatever. We don't need her, right? You get Stacy Q Live exclusive tonight music video, which is probably the worst feature on here. It's really cheesy and bad. Um, Something really cool. You get the final Dan O'Bannon interview. Um, I don't know what he had. Some of you out there may know what he passed away from. I know he was ill with something. My first guess would be cancer. Uh, that's just my first guess because it seems just what everybody dies of these days. Um, but it's a pretty, not lengthy interview. I would say it's 20 minutes or so. But it's good. He seemed to be in good spirits. He didn't look so great, but he seemed to be in good spirits. And it seemed that it was kind of strange. It kind of seemed that he knew that it was, his time was just about up, just by the way he was talking about certain things. It was just really strange, kind of eerie. You get a lot of deleted scenes. Some really cool deleted scenes. One I found really interesting was with the production designer. He was talking about going to about 4 or 5 funeral homes, mortuaries in LA, and just sort of talking with them, seeing dead bodies and seeing how people are cremated. And there's some interesting stories that he tells about going to those places. So that's pretty cool. And then you've got Resurrected Settings, the filming locations today. It's a little tour of some of the places that they filmed at. Actually, you need a medical supply at somebody's house now. Somebody, I guess, turned it into their home, which is kind of interesting. Be kind of cool to live in the You Need a Medical Supply building. Um, let's see, what else was there? Is there anything else? There were some trailers. Return of the Living Dead in 3 minutes. That might have been it. But all in all, um, fantastic documentary. Really great special features. Um, overall, it says about 2 hours of bonus material. And I don't think this was that expensive. I might have paid $13 total for it. So, if you are a fan of Return of the Living Dead, obviously you need this in your life. If you are a fan of horror film documentaries, you need this in your life. So yeah, more brains.